แล้วจังคอยฟังโอ้ยละนา Somebody Lady and gentlemen The boy and the girl I saw sing เซิงบองไฟ
Good evening and welcome to ABC Radio National. April 2nd, according to the Gregorian calendar, we are the Lonely Hearts Club, here tonight for the 8th and final time in our 8-step session, in accordance with the Osm Foundation Healesville chapter Back into Love and Relationships. I am joined by 3 incredible men who know what it is to know about love, life and, some would say, even ladies on the odd occasion and tour to the Philippines. Terry Wood, former sports journalist and Aussie rules player. Welcome back to the Lonely Hearts Club.
Hello, Richard. Hello, Lonely Hearts Club members everywhere. And good news for Radio National listeners. Only 168 hours to go till Doug Spencer returns. So enjoy.
Lucas Dawson, the incredible choreographer who's been missing from the club for the last 2 weeks, no doubt dancing up a storm somewhere exotic. Welcome back to the Lonely Hearts Club.
Good evening.
Oh, no catchphrase this evening.
I'll explain it later on, but I just think that Australia's not ready for that kind of forward thinking.
People have spoken?
Not just spoken.
With their fists.
With their fists and their feet.
Oh. And for the first time since Healesville chapter, we haven't seen our next Lonely Hearts Club member. He snuck in just in time for our 8th and final session. We're joined tonight by a priest from Queensland, Amos Yallop.
Oh, there's f***ing dust in this studio. You know, if it was bloody John Laws or someone, the whole joint would be cleaned out. It's just f***ing ridiculous.
Oh, sorry, Amos. Father Yallop.
Tell it like it is.
We'll have the ABC Radio National Health Department get onto it and see if we can get rid of that dust before we cross back to you in the next break. And 5th and finally, we are joined once again by the esteemed and incredible second unit television director Duncan Jardine.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Richard. Very fast on the beeps there too with Amos. Nicely done. Can I just say, guys, well, you know, it's normally a bit sad and lonely at the top of the show, but not tonight. Have you seen how much is going on out in the foyer there? How many,
a little bit.
The
Yes.
women.
It's an estrogen factory.
The St Kilda schoolgirl was there wanting to be part of it.
Did she have a blanked out face?
Her face is pixelated in real life.
She's
It's amazing.
pixelated 24/7, but Richard was saying, take a number, lady. We've got a lot to get through. See who else was out there? Tanya Zayeta was out there dressed as a nun demanding money for some kind of charity. I don't know if it's registered, but the accreditation seemed to be just drawn on a bit of butcher's paper with a crayon, but I'm sure that's authentic. And Totty Goldsmith is waiting to come in, and she's ready to party. She says, I don't know what's in my pockets, but everyone can have some.
She's wearing a flak jacket. It's incredible the amount of storage space she's got on that khaki jacket.
Where did you get all these ladies, Richard?
Well, Duncan, tonight's show is called This One's for the Ladies. ...
It's about time.
And men. Of course, here at the Lonely Hearts Club, we don't discriminate. If you are willing to go to bed with us, we will talk with you. Tonight, we have some incredible guests joining us. We have all our lady experts in one.
Wow.
That means we have Phoebe Squared is coming in to talk first home date music again.
Very nice.
She's going to hopefully be giving us some inside tips on what women really want when it comes to oral stimulation.
Okay, wow.
We have Australia's finest actor cook, Jane Alsop.
Back
She
again.
cooks actors?
I think it's a reference to 2 of her main sources of income.
Right.
One she gets paid for, the other one
It's just for fun.
it's a tax write-off.
Yeah, okay.
Duncan Jardine gave her a challenge last time she was here to cook something titled Spencer's Return.
Oh, that's right, for Dougie.
In honour of Doug Spencer returning Saturday week. How many hours, Terry, now?
167 and 50 minutes to go.
You'd imagine it'd be world-influenced kind of food, wouldn't you?
Let's hope. We have, of course, our group facilitator from the Hosm Foundation, the Healesville chapter, Estelle Gatenby, is coming to push the boat out, as they say, as this is the 8th episode and 8th step in our matriculation into society.
I haven't seen her since then, by the way. I haven't been doing the shows with her, so I have been trying to get in touch with her with text messages and Facebook updates and tweeting, but
how often are you contacting her?
every 3 minutes.
See, that's too much. There's no actual guidelines, but I'd say that's too much.
Yeah, I think that's...
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing her.
Well, we'll ask her when she gets in here. We have Sally Mathrick, the naturopath to the stars, for the last time. Fingers crossed she gives me what I want. And, of course, we'll be hearing live from California, Sir Nigel Higglethwaite with Hollywood Nights. We have some me time for all those chaps out there who like to pause and reflect where they're at in life. And, of course, Matilde will be dropping by to help spice things up.
Jam-packed show.
Yeah, Richard, can I just suggest we may not get to Toddy, Tanya, or Miss Pixelated out there? We may not get to them.
We could do them all together.
Is that because you did promise us a new segment 2 weeks ago, Terry? Is that coming up?
Oh, it's coming up too, and it's been
brand new segment.
Richard has kindly moved it into the first hour of the show too, so it's very exciting.
Our special guest for this evening's show, we're here till midnight, is Kate Langbrook. She'll be dropping into the studios to talk life, love and ladies.
Fantastic.
Right now, it's time to hear 7 inches of pure new wave funk. Genius of Love by the Tom Tom Club. That was recorded in 1980. What's your favourite part about 1980, Duncan?
Oh, gee, that'd be, I think, the second series of Cop Shop getting the go-ahead. That'd be the highlight for me. Can I just say that we have a podcast of Lonely Hearts Club, and it's done real fast. I don't know how they get it up there. I have a feeling the podcast of tonight's show is already available for download, even though we haven't finished recording the program.
Unbelievable, isn't it?
A special shout-out to the ABC Radio National Technology Department.
That's right. iTunes is one place you can get it. And I don't know if you guys have seen the charts on iTunes.
How are we going?
Lonely Hearts is number one.
Number one.
That is in the health category. Yeah, we are in the health section. There's not much else in there.
Who else?
It's mostly sexual hygiene. If you
Are
look
we up
down
against
there.
Dr. Feelgood? Or
We're up against Peter Russell Clark. He does one called Where's the Cheese? I don't think we need to
That's...
plug that one.
But we've got him covered,
Yeah, we
Duncan,
have.
at the moment.
That's right. We are number one in health. The program is filled with so much useful health information.
Yes.
Be a fool who suggested otherwise.
We'd also like to acknowledge other entrants in the top of the charts there. Meditation for Running, I think, is just a few downloads behind us.
Right.
So keep up the good oms.
And I think Hamish and Andy's Healthcast is hovering in there. They're on every chart.
Yes, wonderful. Lucas Dawson.
Hello.
You are much revered on the social media. You've got
I
a
am.
Twitter account called
Movyas.
Spelt,
MOOVYASS,
and that is, of course, named after your dance academy
which is called Movyas.
because you're from...
Yes.
Right.
It's all coming together.
Yeah.
People have been tweetering and twittering and asking, and they're up in arms, where's Lucas Dawson? Where's the choreographer to the
and-
regional theatre circuit? Where have you been, Lucas?
And look, thank you for all those people out there in the Twitter sphere. Look, I am back and bigger and better than ever.
You look svelte. Have you been dancing, have you?
No, I've been in court
Oh,
Oh, not
Sorry.
the business with the...
the rapscallion.
with the rapscallion.
Oh, dear. Right.
As you guys know, I wrote and choreographed Whole Lotta O, the ode to Oprah Winfrey's recent tour down under. Now, Melissa Couts, as you know, was playing Gail, Oprah's best human friend. She tried the rapscallion, didn't pull it off, ended up in Gympie Base Hospital. I told you guys this a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
There's been some legal action taken.
I have to say, I got a bit of a heads up on this because if you go to your website,
Yeah.
the catchphrase
Yeah.
for your studio is Movyas Studios mired in legal problems since 2007. I thought that was an unusual way to promote something.
Honesty is the best policy.
Okay, fair
Do you know what I
enough.
mean? So
Right.
anyway, Coutsey's people have taken some action.
What injuries did she sustain? I missed that.
Well, it's probably quicker to say what injuries she didn't sustain.
Oh,
She didn't sustain a broken eyelid.
Okay.
Okay, so with dancing, there are guidelines. There are strict parameters, kind of like building in the building industry.
Unspoken?
Well, they're pretty heavily spoken. I just don't tend to listen.
Great.
With a building, if you build a building, if it falls over and kills people, bad.
Yeah, that is a minus.
Okay, if you invent an audacious dance move a la the rapscallion, you're not allowed to risk the death of anyone who thinks they're good enough to do it but aren't, and refuses to do some lat stretches before attempting said move.
Which is the key, you've told us in the past, to the rapscallion.
Okay, so why can't I try big moves? I think the parameters need to change. Go back to the building industry.
Yeah.
The Empire State Building would never have been built if people didn't want to change the parameters, raise the bar.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
You're a maverick.
It's about pushing the envelope.
Right.
Okay, which incidentally is the name of my next new move.
Right.
It was sort of one of a series of stationary-based
And that's
manoeuvres.
the one you were saying involves your tongue, hence the envelope.
You can't send an
reference.
envelope without losing a bit of saliva.
Great.
Look, anyway, long story short, the jury's out still, but I could well be going to prison for a long stretch due to what they're calling creative negligence.
If you do go inside, by the way, I just want to put you at ease on behalf of everyone.
Yeah.
I think you'll be fine in there. I really think that you'll be quite popular.
What, in prison?
Yeah.
You
they-
think
they-
you think an all singing, all dancing,
They
Richard,
love
have you got any
choreography.
thoughts?
love it.
opinionated
Yeah.
homosexual choreographer will do fine.
Oh, well,
Well, let me know which joint you're into, and I'll get someone to look after you, if you know what I mean. All you got to do is pay respects where they're due. You know, behave like they want you to behave, and don't ask any questions. And if anyone says, "Do you want some cigarettes?" and taps their noses,
Do you know what I was thinking I might do? I might go in there, single out the biggest guy in the whole joint, and take him down.
in a dance-off?
yeah, West Side Story style.
Yeah.
So, when you're a jet, you're a jet.
Well, of course, all the Lonely Hearts Club members can follow your progress through the Australian penal system via MoveYas on
Absolutely.
Twitter.
Absolutely.
I reckon a shiv in the leg warmers would be advisable.
Okay,
Just one.
all right.
You could-
Just
you
the one
could-
shiv.
I reckon you get quite a lot of hardware down the leg warmers, really, if you think about it.
Great. Hopefully you can twit pick a few images.
Yeah,
from,
yeah, yeah.
from
Well,
outside
Hey,
jail.
Keep it ready.
speaking
I'll
of
upload.
looking forward to things,
Oh, no.
Thank you, Duncan.
I can. It's the last show. There's anticipation on the bench, and we all know why.
Duncan Jardine getting very excited.
Here it comes, the big one.
A couple of weeks ago, we heard from Terry Wood after he had gone missing for 2 weeks. It surfaced he'd been to the Emirates
Yeah.
in the Middle East with Wendy Turnbull, who he had to leave at the airport.
Didn't end well, but that's fine because I got the story.
She was wearing the all-white Wimbledon burqa.
Illegal over there now,
Illegal.
isn't it?
Well,
And,
especially with the headband.
They only allow US Open and, I think, French.
Roland Garros
Yeah,
styles. But Wood left her at the airport. He did a brand new segment called 10 with Terry.
That was rubbish. I mean, it was well intentioned.
Why was it rubbish,
I was going
though?
to say, what your
because
problem with it was what?
It was ill-conceived. I think we'd have to agree with that. Someone doing push-ups
Ian Thorpe.
on radio.
Yeah.
Quite enjoyed that.
It was
I heard
called
that.
10, but it was numerically unsound.
It was
I mean, it
6
wasn't
plus 4.
10.
How many questions were there, Terry?
Well, there was 4, but
And then
6
they-
push-ups,
and
so
then-
therefore...
okay,
10
why are
with-
we going back there? Let's go forward to the new segment.
Well, the people have spoken and they feel they're not being represented, and according to the feedback from my agent, they want to hear more of me.
but in a new format.
That's right. So,
What have you got for us this week?
well, it's a brand new segment,
Here we go.
and it's called Who Would? Terry Would. Who would? Terry Wood. With me, Terry Wood. Champion Australian fast bowler Dennis Lilly, thanks for joining me. Question 1. First car.
Oh, it was an old jalopy sold to me by that fine Australian batsman, Bruce Stumpy Laird.
Question 2. Who sang at your wedding?
The very lovely Olivia Newton-John.
Drop and give me 10.
I'm sorry?
You can take your gold chain off if you want. 1, 2, 3. Who would? Terry Wood. With me, Terry Wood.
That, Duncan,
It was the same.
I'm not calling myself a mathematician, but I would say that added up to 5.
Yeah.
Don't worry about the number. For you to say that was the same,
It was the same idea. It was,
What?
it was only
No.
like 2 questions.
this one is called Who Would? Terry Wood. What was the last one called?
It was called Terry. but it
Exactly.
was-
Completely different.
I've got it on my rundown that was Who Would Terry Would. That's another segment.
Which is
2
a
new
brand
segments.
new
really.
segment.
got
Brand new segment.
Dennis
Who
Lilly.
wouldn't? I wouldn't.
Well, that's quite mean from
You've
you.
got
despite
Dennis
my-
Lilly there.
Yeah.
And you've asked him 2 questions.
No, I asked him a probing and a personal questionnaire about love, life, and ladies, and also we got a neat little insight as to how physically fit the man still is at the age of 84.
Tell you what I'd love to hear, and that's Ian Thorpe and Dennis Lilly in the same room together.
Having a push-off.
Yeah.
Terry, perhaps you could do that if we ever return on another new segment.
Another new segment. I should mention, Richard, and I thank you for your support. I am the only one over here creating new segments.
Where did you record that?
I popped down to Tassie for the Sheffield Shield final. You could hear it in the background, and bumped into my old mate DK Lillian. DK, myself, and 38 others really were treated to the best that this country's got to offer in terms of domestic cricket.
Sounds to me like that's overestimating the numbers.
Wow.
Do you mean the players involved as well?
I'm creating new content. That's
Okay.
all.
All right.
Yeah, I think they did include the players for that official crowd
Okay, yeah.
attendance.
And the umpires.
Right.
Right now, it's time to hear a song that, when it was released in 1984, entered the Australian charts at number 21. Well, Working Class Man. Or if you're from Adelaide, Working Class Man. That played over the credits of the 1986 Ron Howard film Gung Ho, or if you saw it in Australia, you might know it as Working Class Man, featuring Michael Keaton.
And in Queensland, Working Class Man A.
Which featured on a double bill with Hellraiser 2.
Yeah, right.
It was actually under the end credits of the Honourable Wally Norman.
Wow.
The Working Class Man.
The Sean McAuliffe version.
Did you work on that, Duncan?
No, I was doing the Nugget at the time. Wasn't available. Yeah.
Any truth to the rumour that it was released for the first 3 months under the title The Nougat?
I think that was the case, yeah. Le Nougat. There was a lot of confusion there.
Going for
That
the
make
art
it the
house.
international box office.
I was not privy to the figures. Bill Bennett's keeping them under wraps, but I know Alan Bro will receive the odd royalty payment in Deutschmarks because of his German character.
Right, okay.
Well, always good to give a shout out to Alan Bro, of course.
Yeah.
He was a former guest here on the Lonely Hearts Club.
Friend
You're
of the club.
Friend of the club.
Yeah.
You're listening to the Lonely Hearts Club. We're here till midnight tonight here on ABC Radio National for the last time, April 2nd, 2011. The beautiful odour that you can smell through your wirelesses is, of course, belonging to Australia's foremost actor, cook and Lonely Hearts Club lady expert, Ms. Jane Alsop. Welcome back to the club.
Hello.
Hello, Jane.
Yeah, very good, thank you.
What is that beautiful pungent odour that is wafting in?
Well, you all have a dish in front of you.
Yes.
You did set me a bit of a challenge asking me to make a dish entitled Spencer's Return.
Now, just for the listeners who perhaps missed that episode, Duncan Jardine laid down the challenge for you to make a dish of any type called Spencer's Return.
Yep.
Perhaps we'll try and guess what it is in honour of Doug Spencer's return to the ABC Radio National airwaves next Saturday. Terry, from the Perfume and Bouquet, what do you think Jane Alsop's Spencer's Return is?
Before the reveal, before actually even seeing what's in front of me. Well, it's quite spicy. Bit like yourself, Jane.
Terry doesn't like spicy foods.
No, it's sweet as well, it seems, which I don't like sweet food either. I'm going to say something from Eastern Europe. I've always loved their cuisine. It smells something in that realm.
Okay, yep.
I'd say whatever it is, it smells like it's going to return on me.
Wow. Lucas,
Possibly.
I don't deal very well with.
you got an ETA on that?
I'd say
After midnight?
Probably, I'd say before, well before.
Well, hopefully that'll be on our podcast.
Already on there.
Duncan Jardine,
Jane, can I ask one question? Is it true on the set of Healers you found it almost impossible to get through a take because of John Wood's insistence on doing continual fruit bowls against the window, against the glass?
Jane, please. Duncan, we have been warned.
John
by
pressed
He hasn't
fruit
come
bowl
in here
wood.
to-
Okay.
Jane's agent has insisted that we don't speak about it. Shall we reveal the dish?
What is it?
Because Doug Spencer does do a world music show, I've looked to somewhere else in the world to inspire this dish. And when I asked for a description of Doug Spencer from your producer, the one word she gave me was hot. So I have gone with something spicy here. And if you unveil it, Yeah.
We've got some chopsticks here.
Okay.
Gee, hello.
Now, there is quite a little bit of chili in here, so it's
And
not for the
colours.
faint-hearted.
Beautiful
Beautiful
colours.
colours. It looks really pleasant. It's lovely and refreshing.
Hang on, you fashioned Doug Spencer's profile in what looks like noodles.
It certainly
was
certainly
the
captured
idea.
his fringe
Yeah.
with,
Right.
with the flat noodles.
That was the idea.
Is that some sort of larb?
What have we got here?
So basically what this is a Thai salad of pork mince and rice noodles and some beautiful vegetables and a Thai dressing.
And Jane, much like many of Doug's songs, does it take a long time to cook?
No, it doesn't take a long time, actually.
Hey, speaking of taking a long time to cook, Jane,
Mm-hmm.
is it true that Baz Luhrmann was called in to direct an episode of Healers and the shoot was called off after a year and a half and he only had 10 minutes in the can and most of it was just you and William McGuinness with angel wings on doing Adonis Summer?
And the budget had gone over by 140 million.
That's what is that true?
Jane, you don't.
That's not
you
true.
don't-
That one's
true,
actually
no.
not
I
true,
got that
I'm
off the
afraid,
internet.
Duncan. No,
Okay.
no.
Jane, I just wanted to say, as someone who had to put up with my ex-wife Wendy's cooking for 16 years, which was once described as a hate crime, I wanted to say the dishes you've been bringing in have
Yep.
been absolutely delicious.
Oh, good. I'm so glad you enjoyed
Beautiful.
them, Terry.
How do we make Spencer's return?
So basically, a little oil in the pan with a couple of crushed garlic cloves and 500 grams of minced pork.
Wow.
Cook that up, put that aside. A packet of rice noodles, cook those up as per the directions on the pack, and just some cold water over those to cool them down. This is a cold dish.
Gluten-free?
Possibly.
Well,
Why
you don't
not?
have to charge
Let's.
us for it.
I'm not a gluten expert, I have to admit. Now, the rest of it is, I'll let you go to the Facebook page to copy it down, obviously, if you're planning on making it. But it's mint leaves, coriander leaves, spring onion, red onion, some julienned fresh ginger, some roasted peanuts crushed up, kaffir lime leaves, which I believe absolutely make this dish. They're worth buying. They do give it a really beautiful flavour. Red chilli, red capsicum and carrot.
Wow.
And the dressing, again, is a little more chilli. Fish sauce,
Yeah, I noticed that. Noticed that extra dressing.
sugar and lime juice. Plenty of lime juice.
Got a nice sheen of sweat there, Lucas.
It's hot. I did bring in some yogurt if anyone is absolutely burning out of control, because
Like
these
it-
are some homegrown chilies that do
You look like
pack
you've
a little punch.
Looks like you've just finished one of your little dances. What's coming off?
Well, you know what they say in the dancing fraternity, if you're not sweating it, you're not getting it.
Can
Yeah.
I ask, Jane, is it true that Tanya Zayeta made 3 guest appearances on Healers
come on.
and that after each episode it was discovered that the charity tin on John Wood's desk for the Spastic Kiddies was empty?
You know,
Jane, you don't have to answer
we
that,
did
Jane.
have a charity tin on the bench of Blue Hills. Very observant. Did you see that on TV, or was that when you were doing some...
I actually had to do cutaways of it
Right,
for,
yeah.
I think, Series
For Paul
3 and
Bishop.
4.
It gets me. You always go on about Blue Heelers. You have not once mentioned her turn as Denise Drysdale in The King.
I wasn't Denise Drysdale.
No one saw that.
You what?
Please.
No one saw that.
Lucas.
Lucas.
I think it was quite obvious who she played on that.
I wasn't able to
Don
play
Lane.
Denise because...
Jeannie Little.
Jeannie Little, right.
No, again, not Jeannie Little. Nolene Brown,
Oh,
in
sorry.
fact. But that's all
Never
right.
heard of her.
When Nolene Brown appeared on Healers... Okay,
Come
on.
they're waving at me
Yeah.
through the glass.
Terry Woods Heimlicked him. May I ask, Jane, what's the cost of something like this? You mentioned that it's a cold dish. Is it less if it's not heated?
No, it doesn't quite work like that.
Oh.
It's not expensive. It's not using an expensive cut of meat. And, certainly shopping, particularly if you're able to go to the market. People often buy, cheap McDonald's meals because they think that it's
They're tasty. They've
got
it's
the tick.
cost
They've got
effective,
the heart
but
tick.
it's not. You can go to the market and feed yourself
Yeah,
very
it'd be,
cheaply on good fresh fruit and vegetables.
It'd be very cheap if you didn't pay for it, just stole it from the markets. So
That's what you're saying, Jane? Yeah.
Well,
No,
in a
it's
way.
certainly not what I'm suggesting.
I think it is.
I don't think you should be saying that sort of...
No.
This is national radio
It's
show.
hypothesising. Jane Alsop, may we ask for all our Lonely Hearts Club members where they may see you either acting or cooking next, perhaps in their lounge rooms on a DVD? Is there something that we could enjoy your beautiful visage in the flesh?
Well, I'm currently working on The Slap, which is coming out on the ABC later in the year, and
you
Tangle,
play?
which will be in Fox.
Who do you play in The Slap?
Tracy is the
Ah,
name of my
I haven't read it.
character.
I read that book. That's a Christos Chalkis novel, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
I did read it, and I thought it should have been called The Kick.
Oh, we can mention that to him when I see
Maybe a
him.
sequel, that's all.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming in and feeding us. You're an incredible lady expert, and we do love your acting. We do have a present for you next door and
that's
a
very
card.
nice.
One of our lovely people will hand it to you
Oh,
as you
thank
leave.
you. It's been a pleasure to come in here.
And one final question before you go, Jane.
You're not.
Is it true you are the only female cast member of Healers not to take part in John Wood's nightly bunga bunga sessions?
Don't even
wasn't aware he was having those.
waste your
On the
time.
Wikipedia it says that. So.
Jane, please accept all our thanks. Don't take it personally that Amos hasn't asked you any questions.
Been very quiet.
No,
Yes,
that's all right. He's
everything,
enjoyed his food. That's the main thing.
yeah, everything okay there, Amos?
Oh, there's dust in here. Jesus, it's bloody insufferable.
Apologies.
How does this happen?
Or particles in the atmosphere.
Well, mate, can't you sense there's dust in here? I can't breathe.
Well, that's because dust may contain small amounts of plant pollen or textile and paper fibres, even minerals from outdoor soil.
How do you not know this?
After our third episode, Lucas found former Talkback host Terry Lane here in the studio. He was under a layer of dust, and you actually accidentally sat on him.
I did.
Terry hasn't been on air here since 1977.
You won't be on any time in the future either.
Yeah, well, anyway. Thanks, Amos, and thank you, Jane Alsop. We look forward to seeing you on The Slap on ABC 1, 2, and then 3. It's always great to have you in here. Thanks very much for feeding us.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jane.
Thank you, John.
Right now, it's time to get down and dirty with a man from Upminster. Wow. Ian Jury and the Blockheads. Never forget the time he was diagnosed with colorectal cancer. Gosh, had to be careful where you sat when you were in the company of Ian.
Do you think the Blockheads had any say in that? What they'd be called as a group? Do you know what I mean?
They
Like,
put it to a vote.
it's not a positive visual, is it?
No, it's not like being in the news.
Yeah, exactly. Because
Or
we
the
think just talking heads and all that sort of
Or the
stuff.
injectors.
The injectors.
Yeah. The reptiles.
This was
animals.
Steve Barker's Reptiles, was it?
The Nick Barker's reptiles. Steve Barker's were a load of rubbish.
I think he's doing a show with David Knopfler this weekend.
Oh, yeah. He's a talent, isn't he?
The Blockheads did have something to do, however, Lucas, with Bob Geldof. In 1998, he incorrectly announced Ian Jury's death on radio.
Did he?
Wow.
Fortunately for Madness, he wasn't dead, and Ian went on to release a single with them, Drip Fed Fred. Wonderful stuff. You're listening to the ABC Radio National Lonely Hearts Club. We've had the ABC Radio National management on the blower. Terry, what did they have to say?
Yes, they rang up during the song, Richard, and said that they were listening and found out that Terry Lane was in the building, and now he's doing a new Midnight to Dawn variety show as of Monday.
And what's that called?
The Lane Way with Terry Lane. This is just on the phone, by the way, with the management. They just quickly gave me the brief, and 6 hours of variety radio, which is
Well, because
finally.
Lucas Dawson sat on him.
Well, it's all he deserved, let's be frank.
Great. Coming up in the show, we're here till midnight, joined by an incredible lady. Kate Langbrook will be dropping into the studio to reveal things about herself.
I love the First Tuesday Book Club.
Pillow Talk with Matilde is coming up in the second hour. We'll also be having some me time shortly. But right now it's time to cross across the Pacific Oceans to Hollywood, California.
Live and direct from Hollywood, Los Angeles, with all the latest entertainment, movie news and blues. It's Hollywood Nights with Sir Nigel Hillthwaite.
Ah, yes, Sir Nigel. Now, listen, the Amazing Spider-Man, the high school reboot of the popular franchise, doesn't hit the theatres till next July. However, earlier this week, screenwriter James Vanderbilt was officially hired to begin writing the sequel. Can this be considered a special vote of confidence by the studio in the franchise's new direction?
Yes, the new Spider-Man release. To be a fly on a wall on that set would be quite astounding. A big role as well. An iconic one. I've had my fair share of them, or iconic roles. You see, during my time, of course, when you're in the theatre, especially in community theatre, you rotate around. You're happy to play the chorus, so you're happy to play...
If it's Hollywood, it's Hillthwaite.
Well, it's good to get an answer to that.
Colour me
Spider-Man
enlightened.
question. I just got a bit of trivia here. I'm told that this amazing Spider-Man is the first Hollywood production being filmed with the Epic camera, is being shot in 3D at 5K resolution. Won't that make it much better than people are thinking? I haven't done any shooting in 3D, I have to say. I did do a pilot with John Wood a few years ago that was described as the first production shot in 1D. Never got to see that back. Apparently it was a very one-dimensional show.
Wow. What title was that?
I think it was called Who's That Bloke with the Gut?
Wow.
You had to have the special 1D monocle to get the full effect.
I think John was wearing it as
Yeah.
well. Duncan Jardine mentioned earlier in the evening the collective noun for ladies. I'm not sure what it is. A lithe of ladies, perhaps. Outside the Lonely Hearts Club this evening, another one has stepped into the club.
From the barn.
Into the barn. Terry, you haven't seen this incredible woman. It's Estelle Catenby, who was our group counsellor from Hosm Foundation, the Healesville chapter, the Homosexual Men Emotional and Social Awareness Program. And Estelle dropped in at EPFOR, and she's here now for our finale, just to make sure that I think things are going to plan. Estelle Catenby, welcome back to the Lonely Hearts Club.
Thank you, Richard. Hello, Hosm, Class O 2011.
Estelle, did you think when you suggested that the four of us partake in a community activity that it would ever lead to this?
Oh, look, I had no idea. Absolutely no idea. The change in the four of you, physically, emotionally, mentally, has been extraordinary.
And what do you notice about Terry Wood physically that's changed? You haven't seen him since Healesville?
No, that's right. Well, he's
No longer limping?
no longer limping, and his wardrobe is markedly improved.
He's doing the buttons up on his
He's
shirt.
doing the buttons up. There's more of a femininity there. He's using a bit of colour.
Don't say that.
Lucas.
Estelle, as you know, the last
Yes.
time we suggested that there was some sort of an effeminate side
yeah.
to Terry. It didn't end well.
No.
And you did tell me about the colour thing too, so
Yeah.
I thought blackface would be the way to go, Estelle, and apparently it's not the thing to do
No.
in
Well, look,
normal society.
Not so
Unless you're
much.
on a footy show.
I would say not so much culturally, but emotionally. If you're going to put black on your face, what are you saying to potential women, potential dates?
that there's a
You're
darkness
saying I'm a
there, yeah.
depressive. Obviously, that's not going to be.
Might pull out some Jolson hits.
Well, it's good that they know me, though. It's good they get to know me just by, one look.
Well, that said, Terry, well done.
Thank you. Thank you,
have
Estelle.
moved on. Perhaps not as far as your Lucas, your Duncans, but you're taking steps in the right direction.
Didn't know it was a contest, but anyway.
He's still carrying the knuckle duster.
Yeah,
So
but that's just for
work in
me.
progress.
That's why I've recommended
You
Terry
see.
does come back to Hosm
Yep.
to graduate again.
But that's the thing. I mean, but we know that, Terry, you have. I don't think this is going too far. We're just talking amongst ourselves.
Sure.
That you have some pretty dark emotions, some fears that we discussed during that exercise. Where we passed the pot of peas around the table, and
Yeah.
whoever ended up with the pot of peas in their hand would share their darkest secret,
Sure.
which we just called flicking the bean.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Is that when we're in the circle?
Naked.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just
As
passing
you
it
know.
around. Yeah. Well, I felt better afterwards.
After you
Good.
flicked the bean?
After I'd flicked the bean. I think we all did.
Well, I
Can be
flick
quite a
the bean
relief.
as much as possible, really,
Yeah.
to keep that sense of myself.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask Estelle, this is the 8th and final step in
Yes.
the first chapter outside of the Hosm Foundation in their 8-chapter program.
Yes.
We've got 7 more chapters to go. What's next for the Lonely Hearts Club?
Well, next for you guys, you crazy funsters, is to go out into the world. You have remained pretty much in the safety of each other's wombs up until now. And I have encouraged you all. You're all still single, I presume. I encourage you all to start dating.
Wow.
Yes.
Well, I think the therapy's been fantastic so far. And as a direct result of your counselling, I can say, Estelle, that the terms and conditions of the restraining order
Yes.
that Donna, my ex-wife, had set out, the distance has been reduced
Yes.
from 200 metres to 50 metres.
Well done. Well done.
I mean, that to me is a step forward. I'm now allowed 150 metres closer
You could
to my
basically,
ex-wife.
you could basically still yell like a message to her.
I
couldn't
could
you?
still
You could
shout
say,
an epithet from a moving
"How are
car.
you? Are you good?"
It'd have to be approved,
wonderful.
obviously. I have to put it in writing to the police
And
what I intend
it's
to
very
shout.
romantic too.
It's beautiful.
if you shout
It
it.
is. It
It's
is.
all thanks to Hosm.
Estelle, you say that we should start dating. Do you mean one another?
Well, if you are so inclined. I don't know that there's been any unexplored feelings towards one another that I've missed. Sure, date one another.
What about each other's exes? Is that something you'd consider?
That would be fine.
Yeah,
That would
I'm
be
open
fine.
for that.
I mean,
Go
obviously, one of Lucas's exes is very obviously
Yeah.
out of reach.
Well, if it's cold enough.
I actually met one of his exes in the week, and this is why I would take issue with you saying we should get out into the world, because I went into a muffler shop to buy a muffler, not for a car, just for a sardonic new dance move.
Oh, I see.
And the guy heard my voice. I have the most distinct voice of the whole group. My voice is pretty famous. He said, "You're Lucas Dawson." I said, "Yes, I am." He said, "What's the deal with leaving the everybody out of my latest catchphrase, Wang Chung tonight?"
Right.
He thought it should be everybody Wang Chung tonight. I said, "Maybe you're wrong." He said, "I want to kill you." And I said, "That's not very nice."
Okay. Now, I would argue that prior to Hosm, you would not have said that's not very nice. What would you have said, Lucas?
Well, I would have said, "I'll kill you first with my gun in my pocket."
Well
See,
done,
that's
Lucas.
progress.
Well
Well
done.
done.
Well done.
I've never had a gun in my actual pocket, but I find it's nice to just lay idle threats around.
It was a euphemism.
It is. Yeah.
Still, I just do the idea of
For a muffler.
possibly dating each other's exes is very appealing to me.
Okay.
Considering, I am allowed 50 metres closer to Donna than Duncan, so there's
Yeah.
there's an advantage for
Yes,
me.
absolutely.
Good.
Well, Estelle, is there just in closing any dating tips then that you might have for us?
Oh, where do I start? Well, your wardrobes have all improved, which
Yes.
absolutely delights me.
Buttons done up.
Buttons done up. There's some colour in there. There's a bit of femininity. Women love femininity in their men.
Duncan's been ironing some creases into his slacks even.
Fantastic.
Into the denim.
Yeah,
That's
that's
wonderful.
right.
And I would say be yourself to an extent.
Okay.
Be yourself to an extent.
Be yourself
To an extent. Okay, so don't be afraid of taking on perhaps other characteristics of those around you in order to, well, let's just say, warp the truth.
So you're saying I could tell a story about working on second unit on Richmond Hill
You could.
and say that it was me who was the second unit director when in fact it was Duncan Jardine working with Amanda Muddleton.
Oh, to an extent.
To an
I
extent.
thought that that was the reference to your parachute pants because you look like you're wearing an X-tent.
I think you're
That's because of chafing.
You're flicking the mental bean there. I think.
But look, I have great
with you.
faith in the four of you
Great.
to go out into that world to find perhaps love, if you're lucky. Duncan may take you a little while longer than the others, but you're going to get there.
There's a lot of paperwork involved.
Always pay for it.
Get rid of one of the three eyebrows.
Estelle Gatenby, thank you so much.
Thanks,
on
Estelle.
behalf of everybody here at the Lonely Hearts Club, we'd like to give a special shout out to all men and women who are attending the Hosm Foundation. As they say at Hosm, be yourself
To an extent.
Right now, it's time to hear from a contralto vocalist who was born on Christmas Day. Annie Lennox, Walking on Broken Glass. Or if you're from Adelaide, Walking on Broken Glass.
Not recommended, by the way.
Really?
Going to Adelaide?
A friend of mine's a medical professional, and that is not recommended.
She was born on Christmas Day in 1954 in
My doctor.
Aberdeen.
Oh, Annie Lennox.
Annie Lennox was. And her mother was a cook, much like Jane Alsop. I think she featured in a few episodes of Blue Heelers. And,
Yeah, I'm sure she did. I'm told not to bring that up again, but
Well.
probably too late now.
a couple of episodes of Stingers. And I think she also was in the season finale of Willing and Able.
Oh, who wasn't? It was like Ocean's 11. They were all in that. Mockery, Porteous,
Grant Dodwell.
Gwen Plum.
I believe Justine Clark was in that as well.
The redhead from Richmond Hill.
I think Mr. Bad from East Street might have been there as well. They were all
was
there in
scary.
the Willing and Able finale.
They were willing and able. You're listening to ABC Radio National from Queensland to Corindai, from Monkey Mire to Manly. We're going live around Australia here until midnight, and we have a Facebook page and a Twitter page. Our Twitter avatar is @LoneHeartClub. And the thread that you can follow, we'll be tweeting throughout the show, is #LHClub. Always great to hear from you during the show, and the tweets are really, really contributing to a lot of internet banter. Some would say it's even better than the show. Right now, we're joined by a beautiful lady expert, another one, dropping into the club for the season finale. It's our last show this evening. The tastemaker herself, lady expert Phoebe Squared. Welcome back to the club.
Good evening, gentlemen. Lovely to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming back. Of course, you were on last week with Wesley Deshawn and our secondary Olaf Pinchelbury.
Yes.
The Latin teacher from Glenelg, West Torrens region.
Now, I wasn't here last week. Quick one. Is it Fee or Phoebe?
It's Fee.
Great.
But it's a common mistake, Terry.
Is B part of the surname?
Yes. B
Two surnames?
hyphen squared.
B hyphen
Yes.
squared.
Wow. Annoying.
Last week, we shared with Phoebe Squared some tunes that we like to play when we are on a home date, when we're cooking. Duncan revealed to be a homosexual with Perry Como.
That needs to be explained. What I love to do is put on Australian TV theme. And I thought, cooking, here's a good one. What about the theme from Come and Get It with Peter Russell Clark?
Come and get it. Come and get it.
The trouble is the record's stuck on, so it was Peter, g'day, Russell, g'day, Clark, g'day, Russell, g'day, Clark. It was quite disturbing, actually, the night.
How long did you stick it out for?
Oh, about after half an hour. It was impossible to ignore. Wow. By that time, she'd call for a cab. Good.
Well, perhaps, Phoebe Squared, you could share with us some of your choices this week. You did say Cat Power was always a good tune.
Yes.
If we were on a date and managed to get a lady or a man back to our abode.
Her lovely cover of Sea of Love would be lovely, but I thought that perhaps for an entree, just to set the mood a little, would be nice to hear from Eunice Kathleen Wayman, or as you may know her, Nina Simone. Yes, of course. And a little sugar.
I ended up downloading My Girl and Me We're Sugar Free by Wawa Nee. Not quite as effective.
Nina Simone, the thinking behind having Nina Simone during entree fee?
Just that you're sort of preparing for the evening, that you're suggesting that perhaps
This
at
is
the
the
end of it
normal-
you
normal
would like a
behaviour.
little sugar in your bowl.
So no discussion, no dialogue between you and your date? You actually
Not
listen to the
necessarily. I
lyrics?
think it's mostly implied by the lyrics in the song. A little
Right.
sweetness down in my soul.
Okay, so Lucas has got fellow cast member from the Katanning interpretation of Oklahoma, the guy who plays Judd.
Right, Gary Tan,
Gary
who
Tan.
actually was also originally the Asian plumber from Hampton Court.
Oh,
So,
is that a television program?
yeah, it was a spin-off series of Betty from Hey Dad.
Right.
Gary Tan. And
Gary
you know
Tan.
what he swears by as a seducing song? What did you say? Sugar in my bowl. Hair on my cheeks from the Teen Wolf 2 soundtrack.
Hair on my cheeks. Gary Tan, always ahead of his time. So, Gary Tan, popping over to Lucas's hotel room. You're cooking in the service department.
Very hard too. Kitchenette.
Kitchenette.
They call it a kitchenette. That's one little hot plate and basically a bowl.
You're doing Spencer's Return for main course.
Pretty much. I might lighten up on the chili though.
Lighten up the chili. What should Lucas play for Judd from Oklahoma?
Outside of Hair on my cheeks.
Well, that's pretty hard. If you were thinking about a song for main course,
Yes.
it's strange that you mentioned Chili, because the Detroit Cobras have got a track called Boss Lady, which I would like to put out there because I'd sort of like to suggest that, you know, perhaps I'm not such a pushover.
Okay.
So some people that's important, but she does say that she is the boss with the hot sauce.
Wow.
So I may serve up something with a little hot sauce.
Like this.
I'm the boss with the hot sauce. I'm a demon man. I'm a lamp lighter to the promised land.
Right, now, if you didn't have that song, would Hot Chili Woman by John Stevens and Noiseworks suffice?
I would say yes.
Okay,
Yes.
fair enough.
Wow, that's Rachel Nagy.
Yes, Rachel Nagy, yes, that is her name. And yes, she's got a lovely voice. Dirty.
Okay, so we've got Nina Simone for entree, the Detroit Cobras for main. What about sealing the deal? Been a lot of tension between Lucas and Gary Tan ever since the Farmer and the Carmen reprise. Lucas, how does he close the deal with
I think
Gary Tan?
This is the point of no return. You can't leave people guessing.
Yeah.
So perhaps we should go with extraordinary about riding something like a pony.
Right,
But it's a very seductive sounding track. I don't think it leaves anything to the imagination.
Can I
Is
just
a pony
say,
a euphemism?
Quite
Genuine,
possibly in
genuine.
some circles.
Genuine.
Not actually one to ride a small
Pony.
horse.
Ginuwine, Ginuwine, is his stage name, surprisingly. His real name was Elgin Baylor Lumpkin.
Wow.
Surprising he didn't go with that.
Lumpkin.
Lumpkin.
Why do you know that?
Yeah, that's a good point.
You hear that when you're doing weights in the
Out
yard.
in the yard. Can I just say, after listening to those 3 tracks about what you should be cooking during dinner, I can see where I went wrong on my last date with Wendy Turnbull.
With the rabbit.
Yeah, with the rabbit. During the dessert, I started singing "Oh Death" from the Where Brother Where Art Thou soundtrack. Didn't really...
It darkens the tone.
Yeah.
It's a
So-
mistake. It's a lovely track, obviously.
It
but
is. It's beautiful and haunting.
Perhaps just
and,
the wrong time.
Right. Maybe that was the problem. I don't think the other people in the restaurant appreciated it either.
How does it stand? Is that it? Is it done? You and the rabbit?
Done.
Yeah.
Absolutely done. She's hooked up with Mark Edmondson and
Rabbit stew.
Yeah.
Rabbit stew. Well, Phoebe Squared, thank you very much for showing off your lady expert prowess with some songs to seduce during entree, main and dessert. Lucas, how was Gary Tan?
Oh, look, on a scale of very good to magnificent, he was stupendous.
Wow. Can't wait to see his next showstopper. Phoebe Squared, we have a present for you. I believe Terry has even included his phone number in the card, just to say thanks for helping us with our assimilation back into society from Healesville.
And I think everyone on the show gets a DVD of Rake.
Excellent.
There's quite a lot of them out the front and the foyer.
Wonderful. Right now, it's time to think about young men as they embark on the journey of life. Dreams are formed, hopes are realised, and the world's your oyster. And like the warm glow of a candle, love flickers bright. But sometimes in our lives those dreams are shattered. Our hopes fade. The oyster is contaminated by an ocean-dwelling algae. And like a candle, the flame of love grows cold, eventually burning out. With this in mind, it's important to take time in our busy schedule to stop, gaze out a rain-swept window as the world goes by, and think about all those people who are more successful than us, who are happier, healthier, content, for whom dreams do come true. It's important to reflect on what might have been and where we might be if perhaps we had tried a little harder. It's time for me time. Wow. Gosh, I love a bit of me time. Always wrap myself in glad wrap and waddle over to the window and just sweat about 4 kilos off during me time. That was, of course, a beautiful aria from the film True Romance. But, of course, before that it was from Lakme. Beautiful opera.
I thought that was Nick Barker and the Reptiles. I thought that was a throwback to the comment from before.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think they do a bit of Ness and Dormer as an encore down at the Espy.
Into the Canon in D. So,
Yeah.
The
big gig.
Viens Malika sous les dents. Beautiful tune. Beautiful rendition by Nick Barker and the Reptiles.
Thought it was right.
You're listening to ABC Radio National. It's our last, the 8th and final one. Doug Spencer's back next week, but we're here till midnight tonight. Coming up in the second hour, we have Kate Langbrook joining us in the club. Incredible lady that she is. She'll be revealing some stories and some influences, hopefully, and a little bit of herself. We'll also have the naturopath to the stars, and, of course, Matilde will be spicing things up with some pillow talk. Of course, you can follow the Lonely Hearts Club via Twitter. Our Lonely Hearts Club avatar. I'm not actually sure what it is. Amos Yallop, what is our Twitter avatar? Amos?
Yeah, okay. I can't record it here. I can't breathe.
What's wrong?
Well, there's f***ing dust, and I've got to bloody record here.
Well, I'm sorry. It's not here's a schooner of Moselle to drink.
Hopeless.
Well, it's not hopeless.
Well, it is hopeless. I should be given it in the morning. Just don't see my life should be turned into a nightmare for the sake of other incompetence.
Well, okay. Skull the Moselle, and we'll get back to you shortly. Father Amos Yallop from the Maroochydore parish.
It's touchy, that one, isn't it?
Noosaville parish. Right now it's time to hear from our listeners. We've got some Lonely Hearts Club listener feedback. I had some here, but it's all positive. What about you, Terry?
Richard, this is the most positive feedback that I've ever had to read out. This is from Luke, and he just says, Mollymook is actually in southeast New South Wales, just north of Ulladulla.
Wow.
So isn't that a magnificent celebration of the show? And good on you, Luke. I'm glad you're enjoying it.
Tell it like it is. Wow. I've got one here from Victoria who says, please help, I'm lachrymose.
Gosh, she's the one.
Lachrymose. Not sure what it means.
No.
I was innocently listening to your program when the radio waves travelled from my ear to my elbow, tickled my funny bone, then caused an emission similar to a chuckle, resulting in aforementioned tears.
I don't like the idea that people aren't taking us seriously here. We're not...
We're the number one health podcast.
She was doing a throw from the Grammys at the time, so I'm not sure.
Giggle fest.
Wow. Not everybody can be enjoying this program.
No, Nick Henry has written in again from Perth and simply said, abysmal dross. It's becoming a broken record.
Quite predictable.
What about Gwyn Bentley, who says simply, bring back the weekend planet? We have another one here, which simply says, bring back the weekend planet, and that's from Douglas Spencer.
Wow.
It's written in very angrily.
Wow, in caps lock too.
Shouting.
Always great to hear from our listeners. And of course, I know whenever I'm doing a chat at a low security remand centre, a lot of people ask, are they in fact real listeners? And we thought that we'd actually put that rumour to bed once and for all. We might get our call girl, Anna.
That's watch out for the way you're describing her.
That's how we met her.
Okay, well, she's our member handler. If she could come in. Anna, can you just come into the studio, please?
There we go.
Anna's been taking calls and the phone.
Yeah,
Anna,
right.
sorry to spring this on you. Terry Wood, Anna, Lucas Dawson.
Hello, Terry. Lucas, Duncan.
Hello.
Oh, hello. Didn't actually need to introduce Duncan there.
Okay, all right. Moving on.
Anna, real callers, real listeners, real feedback. How do people contact us normally?
Normally by the web, which is abc.net.au, and the Lonely Hearts Club. And you can also go onto our Facebook page as well and call
our 1300 653 891 Lonely Hearts hotline. What's happening though once we're off air? Like we're finishing tonight at 12 o'clock. We'll be out the front offering free downloads of our podcast and Hugo Weaving reading. Perhaps we'll have an existence on the social media once the show goes off air?
We hope so, yes, most definitely.
I just wanted to address the white elephant in the room. There is some tension in the room here. I must say, over the 8 weeks, some things have been developing off air, but there has been some double-planed soundproof glass between you and Duncan Jardine.
I was waiting for this to come up.
I'm glad you brought it up, Richard.
He asked me to ask you something.
Right.
My friend likes you. Will you talk to him?
Yeah, all right.
Duncan, what did you want to say to Anna? Let's clear the studio.
Well, Anna, I can now assure you that the terms of my court order have been freed up. I think it was a typing error, but it basically stated that I wasn't allowed within 200 metres of any woman.
Wow.
Right.
That has now been amended.
Yes.
It's only women that I've previously been married to. So I am available on the dating scene, as it were. And you might be thinking, well, what does this guy know about women? Well, I've been on this show, The Lonely Hearts Club, for 8 weeks now, and what I've learnt, if I've learnt one thing above all others, it's that women love to hear men speaking at length and in detail about their own achievements. Would you agree with that? I'm taking that as a yes.
Duncan, it's been lovely to get to know you, but it could possibly be a bit of an HR issue.
Can I add that I do have Series 5 of Stingers on Blu-ray?
Amazing.
I have a book at home on body language, and she's actually got her back to you with a blind
No,
fold.
I would just, Anna, yes or no, will you go with Duncan?
Oh, it's like perfect match, isn't it? I feel like there's pressure.
Feels like a YMCA disco to me.
If you had to choose, who would you go on a date with out of the four of us? aside from Duncan, Terry and Lucas?
Duncan, Terry, Lucas, Richard, or Mark McInnes, former CEO of David Jones.
Wow. Could we all maybe get to know each other
Together? Wow.
somewhere?
All right, into the flotation tank.
Blindfolds off.
One of those, eh? Radio.
Thank you very much, Anna, for handling all our members over the 8 weeks, and we hope that you can join us in all our individual pursuits, or, as you've just revealed, collectively as one.
Yes.
And Duncan and Anna, we wish you the best for your upcoming engagement.
Lights, camera, action.
But now, it's time to hear from a band who put the soft in rock. Who are the 28th best-selling band in the United States of America.
Wow.
Isn't that incredible?
I think they've left REO's Speedwagon in the dust. Wow. And that was a song from the end of The Sopranos, of course, the final episode. I'd like to think we achieved a similar effect with the final White Collar Blue. Yeah.
Who was in White Collar Blue?
No idea. I think it's coming out in 1D.
Which is becoming your signature now.
1D, is it just one line? It's singular line.
Single dimension television. It's a new way of looking at Aussie drama.
And you watch it through, just in case you're just joining us, you watch it through
a monocle.
Right.
Yeah. A special 1D monocle.
Anamorphic.
Yeah.
Well, right now it's time to spice some things up in the bedroom with our favourite eastern suburbs, Madame Mathilde.
Sentez bonheur, joie dans le cœur. Is Pillow Talk with Mathilde.
Ça fait combien au total? Ça fait combien au total? How much is it in total?
Is Pillow Talk with Mathilde.
She's beautiful.
She's certainly done a great job over the 8 weeks.
If you put all of Mathilde's segments together, you can learn so much and have a great night out.
And a night in.
Sure.
Basically just asking how to pay for a sexual transaction, is that?
Whoa, ho.
I think that's...
How dare you?
Have I missed...
That's a bit of a 1D view.
Have I missed many layers?
There are many
Take
layers.
the monocle
many,
off,
yeah,
pal.
okay, yeah.
It has
okay.
been a non-stop
All
parade
right.
of ladies on today's show.
If you look at the glass studio, Zayeda has moved.
Yeah, I think
4
she's been
spots.
moved on.
She's got what she wanted.
She's been-
She's a bag of cash.
Glynis Nunn's out there.
Oh, the fringe.
I saw Tony Lamont pulling out a few show tunes.
Yeah,
Didn't know
she's-
she was even alive.
I'm just seeing now Raylene Boyle's handing her an old $20 bill with...
Is that still legal tender?
well, I'm sure you can exchange it for $8 in at any one of the major banks.
And also, great to see one of our favourites, the great Lorraine Desmond, who's popped just out there. And
Saucy number out there. Is
Giving
that,
out a
saucy.
headshot.
is that swimsuit painted on?
I think so. I don't want to get too close, obviously, but just good to see that she's still alive.
Can't wait till they all get in here. But one beautiful lady has got to the front of the queue and pushed away past security, which, of course, here at the ABC is...
It's a coat rack with a hat and a dressing gown draped over it. That's all you get at this time of night. Can I introduce her? It's someone who doesn't realise that she's worked with me. Kate, I actually did second unit photography on a series you were connected with, Medivac, shot up in Queensland. Kate Langbrook, welcome to that.
Duncan, thank you for having me.
What was your role on Medivac?
I was a writer.
You were a writer?
A co-writer of one of the episodes.
What was Medivac about?
It was...
Grant Bowler? The voice
Was
of...
it Grant
It
Bowler?
was Grant Bowler.
Yeah, it was
I can't
Bowler.
remember.
And Danielle...
Terrible.
Spence?
Look at the emotional
Danielle
commitment I
Spencer.
make as a writer.
Graham Blundell, I think.
So you didn't play a writer?
No,
You
I
wrote-
co-wrote one episode.
All right.
Who with? Who was the other writer? Everett
Guy
DeRoche?
called- No, it wasn't. I always thought that was a pseudonym because it sounds so exotic for Australia.
It does, but
Doesn't
it's a real
it?
bloke.
Much like Duncan.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of people speak of you in the industry.
You know, I'm more behind the scenes, I guess. Second unit is not... I mean, for example, on Medivac, I think all I did was a shot of Graham Blundell putting a mug down on a coaster. That's
Well,
kind
you
of
actually worked with Graham Blundell.
Well, it wasn't his hand, it was Gil Tucker, who does a lot of hand substitution work.
Off air, you were
Yeah.
saying that you shot episode 91 of Chances, which supposedly involved the
Lucas.
young...
Oh, Lucas.
See, I wasn't going to bring it up because
that-
everywhere she
Lucas,
goes...
why is she responding like that?
Well, I don't know. Kate, why are you responding like
Oh,
that?
look,
Was there something that you...
I really don't know how to respond. I now actually feel like a scene. What's that film that Jodie Foster was in with the pinball machine?
Panic Room, not the accused.
Nim's
You're
Island.
saying
The room has taken on some weird sort of...
Coming
Nim's
on
I don't like the way
this
you're looking at
show.
me, Lucas.
I kinda like
And
it.
Terry won't look at me at all, and that's not a good sign.
You're involved
Did
in
you
the chances.
second on that, Duncan?
I came in consecutive.
Did
I think everybody did in the second half of the series. It was gloves
Oh,
off, if I
Dunk,
remember.
that's
Once
just
the
hurt.
vampire arrived, once Mark Neal jumped out of that coffin, were you pre or post vampire? Don't
I
you
don't know.
think
I don't
in
know.
this era where people love True Blood and Twilight, that the weird second
Yes.
half
Mr.
of
Bad
Chances...
It
and
was
all
like
that,
you,
yeah.
Duncan. It was premature.
Well, exactly. Could be dusted off, I think.
You also worked together on the Bob Morrison show.
I don't
You
think
know
that's...
the problem with the Bob Morrison show?
well,
There was only one.
Bob Morrison?
Was
was
it Andy
that-
Anderson's hair?
No, people had problems. They said actually in research or when they get think tanks
Focus
in a
groups.
focus groups. Thank you, Terry. They said that's not what a dog sounds like.
What? When he talks.
Yeah.
Just
So it
wasn't
was-
believable.
Yeah, I don't know how they got the people that knew that, but they did.
was
And they were
people
right,
thinking,
obviously,
well.
because the show didn't work.
I think it was Stig Wemyss.
It was Stig
the voice
Wemyss.
of the
It was.
MCG, who did also
Yes.
the voice of Bob Morrison.
Since you choreographed Kate at Dancing with the Stars, Lucas,
Is that what hang on.
hello.
Come on.
He's thrown down the headphones. He's storming out.
Well,
He's coming back.
Kate Langbrook asked me to choreograph that.
Oh, well, I did.
Oh, you're
I'm
back.
not denying that I asked, Lucas.
And
What went
I
wrong?
didn't expect that you would be in Jennifer Hawkins' camp so firmly
yes,
as to barely disguise your activities, which can only be described as those of a saboteur.
double agent.
Well, I can
When
say
the
when I hear
fellas-
Jennifer
the
Hawkins'
feathers-
camp, I think Jake Wall.
Kate, you're a professional woman and a personal woman.
Mathilde.
A contemporary of Mathilde. You're incredibly successful at work and at home. You have a beautiful family, 4 children. You're on television and radio. What is the secret, perhaps, to, for want of a better term, getting in your pants?
Sorry, I was not
Okay.
expecting the end to that sentence.
I meant,
Oh, Richard,
I meant
no.
to be in her shoes.
Yeah. I think it's a fair question. Richard.
Yes,
Absolutely
so
fair
how
question.
do you manage it all as a successful lady?
Well, I don't know. I think you need to find sort of role models that can convince you that certain things are possible.
Great.
Female role models for
models.
me.
And we wanted to ask who perhaps some of those ladies were.
Tanya Zayeta?
No, I hadn't thought of Zayeta. Inspirationally, I'd say probably more Joan of Arc.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I think there's a lot of smell the burning martyr at our house around dinner time, particularly.
Does your husband work?
I think there are those that would say he spends time with me, so yes, he does.
It's a job in itself, isn't it, Kate? Dear, oh dear, full time.
Some would say, Duncan, none of the gentlemen in this room, I'm sure.
No.
Any Australian ladies that inspire you, Kate?
I think Ita Buttrose.
The auntie to the drug dealer to the stars.
Yes. Yes, very much.
I think she'd
Was he
appreciate-
Richard Buttrose?
Richard, yeah, I think he should
Richard
appreciate
Buttrose.
be mentioned in
Yeah.
every time he is.
Probably if you looked in her book of etiquette, it probably would have a chapter about not mentioning the misdemeanours of
Yeah.
relatives of people who other people believe to be role models. Richard, I don't know, but I imagine that it might have some sort of advice.
I'll agree to
that.
disagree.
They're doing a movie about Ida at the moment. Asher Keddy is playing.
Really? That's good casting.
It is good casting, but the talk is that she's not going to be, quote, doing the voice.
Wow.
Now,
She's doing
that's-
Liz Smiley instead.
Oh,
It's quite abstract,
surely
Duncan.
not.
Does doing the voice mean the lisp?
Yeah, well, I mean, to me, that's part of the character makeup of
Of course,
Ida.
that is her
It's going to be distracting if she
critical
doesn't do
defining characteristic.
Well, hopefully you'll stick around, Kate, if you'd care to join us for the Naturopath to the Stars, Sally Mathrick.
Oh, I adore her work, and I did want to talk to her about my acute angina.
Incredibly cute.
Yes, I love her.
It's very hot.
We'd love it if you'd stick around and
Can she help me?
let's find out. Can't wait to see what she's wearing. Right now, it's time to hear from the grandson of Francis Kelly, a gentleman who established a law firm in 1917, and his son John joined it in 1937. Paul Kelly. Do you know that Paul Kelly is from South Australia originally?
Really?
Yes, and as I mentioned, his family emigrated from Ireland to Clare, which is a great wine-producing region.
Ned Kelly came out from Ireland too. Guy with the beard, the criminal guy.
I think that's Paul's son. His maternal grandmother was an Argentinian-born Italian-speaking opera singer. And I think you could see the influence that she had on that tune.
Sure.
Kate Langbrook joining us, still in the club, the Lonely Hearts Club, here on ABC Radio National till midnight tonight, joined once again by the surly yet sombre former AFL player Terry Wood.
Hello, Lonely Hearts everywhere.
The choreographer to the regional theatre circuit.
Wakachuk, wakachuk.
Lucas Dawson. I think
I'm trying another catchphrase. I think I'm back.
Ding, ding.
It didn't go down well with the general public.
And, of course, the esteemed second unit television director and occasional film director, Duncan Jardine.
Hello to all Medivac fans listening tonight.
Kate, would you ever, before I introduce Sally, consider going to see a naturopath?
I have actually thought about seeing a naturopath, but then when I found out they couldn't prescribe, I sort of, I'm like,
point?
You know.
Perhaps, Kate, you could introduce Sally Matherick into the club for the last time.
Well, I think you just did, Richard. I don't know what to say that you haven't already said.
You can apologise.
Here's Sally
That's a good start.
Matherick.
Sally, welcome aboard.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to disrespect, but I do love your work.
Sally Matherick, naturopath to the stars.
And of course, those stars include, Sally. Can we mention them or not?
Robert Cabas.
We really can't
Peter Luck,
mention them on air,
Peter Luck,
Terry.
Duncan
Robert
Armstrong.
Cabas and Duncan Armstrong.
Wow.
The big three.
Sally, we've heard about gluten intolerance. We've heard about halitosis.
We have, Richard, we've talked about aphrodisiacs.
I remember those. Please tell me that we have the topic du jour, acute angina, this evening.
Well, Richard, we do. I just thought
hello.
it's time for angina.
It's time to push away from the microphone.
My angina's excited to hear that. And that's dangerous, isn't it?
That's right. Excitement, physical exertion, emotional stress, as you're experiencing now, and exposure to extreme cold can actually bring on an angina attack. So we have to be careful. So rest.
So the
Kate.
emotional mood that Terry maintained throughout his entire marriage is bad for angina.
So
then.
basically, I had 16 years of angina. Is that right, Sally?
Well, I don't know, Terry. I mean, if you were constantly having spasmodic, cramp-like choking feelings...
That was during the wedding vows, yes.
Okay, sometimes the pain will radiate down the inner left arm, accompanied by a feeling of suffocation and impending death. If that's what you're feeling...
It is like going back to the ceremony as you speak.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay.
Poor Wendy.
So, yeah.
So your divorce might have acted as a stent for Wendy then, just to open up the arteries.
Is that right, Sally?
Look, I actually haven't consulted with Terry, so I can't really answer that. Possibly, Terry, though, possibly. So, I mean, everyone's very individual, and I think with cardiovascular disease, this is the little caveat I'd like to put on tonight's session. I have to underline that it is a very important thing that you do seek professional advice.
What is angina?
What's the JJ story?
Angina is essentially insufficient oxygen getting to the heart muscle. And so the pain that you feel is the muscle of the heart needing oxygen and not getting it and actually dying. So it's little cells of the heart dying because of lack of oxygen coming to it.
Right.
Okay. So it's when Terry retired, all of a sudden no one was coming to him, no fans, no one saying his name. In fact, no one mentioning him for over 17 years. The heart of Terry Wood basically just was crying out for something. Just give me something. Just give me something. Just give me the footy show. Just give me a card. Release a line of retro footy cards. That sort of idea.
Which I'm happy to sign, by the way.
Well, kind of, because I guess, you know, if you look at it from a physical point of view, the heart's always getting blood going through it because obviously it's pumping the blood and it's going through the chambers. But angina is actually the issue of the heart muscle itself, and the little vessels that feed the heart muscle are blocked. So they're called the coronary arteries. So they're very small. So it's different. So, I mean, you've got blood rushing through the heart all the time, obviously. Okay. But what we're talking about is actually the fuel of the heart muscle itself.
How would I know, Sally, if I am partaking in angina?
you would be feeling some pain. You would need to probably sit down. You'd probably get a little bit breathless, and you'd need to rest, or you'd need to pop one of your nitrous oxide tablets.
Explosives?
Oh, nitroglycerin.
Oh, right, okay.
And who traditionally enjoys angina or doesn't enjoy angina?
The people who are afflicted by angina generally are people with cardiovascular disease of some sort.
Right, I thought you were asking for a list of celebrities there for a moment. Jimmy Barnes, he had heart trouble. He suffered from freight train heart for a number of years. That was difficult to treat. Can you give us any of your celebrity heart angina patients?
Oh, Duncan, I so am, just bound by this confidentiality.
Well, Peter Luck is renowned as being a big fan, but in the end he was just out of luck, wasn't he?
Well,
no more.
And the irony, because of
during
course
winter.
he's all heart.
He is.
Yeah.
During summer months. It's very moody in the winter.
Yes, he's hibernating. Sally, how does one treat angina? Is it a simple matter of rest and relaxation, or do we need to see doctors or naturopaths?
I think if you had angina, you'd certainly be needing to talk to a health professional. What I think is really interesting, and it might be interesting for our listeners as well, is the psychological patterns that have been associated with heart disease and angina. There are a couple of books that I referred to this week about that, and one was Louise Hay's You Can Heal Your Life, which was published about 25 years ago, an old classic. And there's another book I read, which is by a person called Carol Truman, Feelings Buried Alive Never Die is the name of the book. And she wrote about heart problems being associated with violating the laws of love, knowingly or unknowingly.
Terry.
It reminds me of a coach I had during my career. I only had him for the 1 year, but he was very big on things like that. And I'll never forget, we were running down the race before a big game, and he whispered into my ear, Terry, it's hard to mend a broken heart if you don't have all the pieces. And I went out there and played one of the worst games in my life.
That was Bert Newton's brother, wasn't it?
It was. Bob started as a sprints coach at the Collingwood Football Club, and somehow it was made coach.
Thanks, Terry. The others were, for example, having a difficult time forgiving yourself. That could create heart issues. Also, not feeling approval from others. And I think really the bottom line is it's about being open-hearted and as opposed to being closed-hearted. And essentially it's that one needs to fill the heart with nourishment to avoid angina.
Instead of with hatred, Lucas.
Well, look, each to their own, I say, Kate.
And I must say you're looking fantastic this evening in that inflatable sumo wrestling suit, Sally. Not sure how you squeezed past the incredible Amanda Muggleton, who's come here to get a show reel done from Duncan.
It's a very short show reel, but it will be padded out with some scenes from White Collar Blue.
Absolutely.
Sally Mathrick, we can actually get your health and fact sheets via our Facebook page, the Lonely Hearts Club Facebook page, and our website, which is www.abc.net.au/rn/The Lonely Hearts Club, or via your Twitter page, which is @sound_medicine. Sally, I hate to see you go. Perhaps we could chat after the show this evening. And,
about the whole Peter Luck thing?
Probably more angina, and just see where that takes us. I've got many questions and would love a demonstration. Thanks so much for coming in over the 8 weeks. We love you, Sally, and please give our best to Robert Cabas.
Oh, and your new client, Courtney Act.
Oh. How did you know about that?
Well, Courtney called me and told me that he was very excited to be listening to you on the radio.
What a stable you have, Sally.
We also should thank the incredible Kate Langbrook.
Thank you, Kate.
Thanks for dropping in and sharing her angina for all to see.
Yes, and thank you, fellas, for having me.
And I'll be seeing you again, Kate, when we do the commentary tracks for Bob Morrison Series 2.
On the DVD box set, available soon at all good record stores. Kate Langbrook, of course, Monday to Friday on a commercial station in Melbourne. It's up to you to find it.
If you do need a sports reporter, Kate, I'm just saying that I'm around, that's all.
Please. Nobody likes somebody who's called Terry.
Unless it's a towel.
Right now it's time to hear from the 1991 nominated Song of the Year, who unfortunately lost to From a Distance by Bette Midler. Wow. Hold On, the debut single by Wilson Phillips, which was released in 1990. Lucas Dawson, what was your favourite part of 1990?
1990. Well, it was, of course, the year that Collingwood won the grand final in the AFL. Now, it was one of my first ever professional Corrie engagements, and it was the halftime entertainment with a whole bunch of about 85 little fat girls in leotards with different coloured ribbons.
Not sure
and the
you can
huge,
call them that.
Okay, little fat chicks in leotards with ribbons and the huge inflatable Louis the Lip.
It's that time of the series and the night where we four, on behalf of Dr. Brendan Norris and the inventor from Geelong, Roger Cunnington, the travel agent to the layman, Dallas Travel on Cavill, the secondary school teacher, Olaf Pinchelbury, over from West Torrens and Glenelg, the poet Wesley Deshon, lowercase d, lowercase e, capital S, and on behalf of all the exponents and single and lonely men everywhere whom we met at the Hosm Foundation Healesville chapter, to say thank you to you, the Lonely Hearts Club listener, for helping us in these 8 weeks, 8 steps, these 8 sessions throughout our journey back into relationships and love, and even to Amos Yallop.
Oh, there's f***ing dust in this studio. It's just f***ing ridiculous.
Yeah, I think he needs a few more hours in the flotation tank.
As bad as that anyway.
And he's actually toned down
right.
since our time together in Healesville.
Wonderful preacher, Father Amos Yallop. We should thank tonight's guests and all our wonderful guests who featured throughout our 8 episodes here on the Lonely Hearts Club, ABC Radio National, but specifically this evening, we must thank our lady experts. Actor cook Jane Alsop with Spencer's Return, Phoebe Squared with Songs to Seduce during entree, main and dessert, Hossum's very own Estelle Gatenby, and the naturopath to the stars, Sally Mathrick. We must also thank Kate Langbrook and, of course, the incredible Matilde with 8 weeks of pillow talk. Shout out also, Duncan, to your friend and contemporary Sir Nigel Higglethwaite.
Oh, he informed us, didn't he?
The 7 episodes he gave us are the latest in Hollywood gossip. We'll have a very, very strong presence on Twitter. Even though we won't be on air, our avatar is at Lone Heart Club. We'll probably be tweeting at least once a month. Thanks also to you, the beautiful listeners, who have been following the thread. It's hashtag LH Club through our 8 episodes. Our podcast will be available to enjoy and download for the next 12 months. Terry Wood,
yes,
what's up next for the surly yet sombre ex-AFL player and sports journalist? Your radio program in the Riverina.
Boys in the Wood, very successful.
Any chance of a return to media?
I did, I'd hope you boys don't mind, but I did a couple of pilots, one on radio, one on television. This one was just called A Tale of Two Terrys, was the radio version, where every week I'd just come and do a show with a different person called Terry. Didn't go that well. Terry Alderman was our first guest.
There's your problem right there.
Well, he is just an ordinary bloke, and you can see why he was attacked on the Wacker.
It wasn't him being attacked, he tackled a streaker.
Right. So I've done that. I've got a little TV thing going that my agent has organised. I'm going on the road with Muscles himself, Ken Rosewell, on a little speaking tour where I'll just be doing my thing, talking about my achievements, which, as you've said before, Duncan, people enjoy.
Ladies love it.
And Kenny Rosewell Muscles would be just to the side of me doing push-ups. I'm looking forward to that around the country.
Absolutely.
All the best, Terry Wood. Thank you so much,
Richard,
for all your wonderful segments and input over the 8 weeks here on the Lonely Hearts Club. Lucas Dawson, the choreographer to the regional theatre scene. What's coming up for Movias?
Well, look, Movias is going into 4 more territories this year. We are going into the Wangaratta. We're going into the Wagga Wagga. We're going into the Zeeland.
What's that?
It's part of sort of far northern Queensland. It's a region of its own. We're going into the Kakadu, and we're going into the in Broome. But I'm hoping now that the radio show's finished that I can start just going out in public, ordering a turkey on rye and not getting recognised, because now it's gotten to the point where I point to the Bain Marie and say nothing. Because if I don't...
Your
I get
voice
mobbed.
is that recognisable.
Having said that, I would love to announce something new. I am releasing Lucas Dawson desktop wallpapers.
Well, that's incredible news. That's available on our ABC website.
On the ABC website. Go to the website. Now, it should be said that they are available in over 18s and under 18s.
Wow.
The under 18s are fine. The over 18s are... how's your father?
It's a computer desktop available via our Facebook page and, of course, our website, which is...
up-late uncut version.
Well, Lucas Dawson Wallpapers. Let us know how you go. And, of course, we can follow you on Twitter, which is @MoveYas.
@MoveYas, indeed.
Thank you very much, Lucas Dawson. All the best with Gary Tan.
Thank you.
Esteemed second unit director, Duncan Jardine, we've heard from you for 8 weeks in succession. The progress has been palpable.
Yeah.
Where to from here, Duncan?
Well, very exciting for fans of my work, and I'm not talking about my second unit work, I'm talking about my very rare first unit projects.
Whoa.
The people at ACME, the Australian Centre for the Moving Image, are doing an exhibition called The Cinema of Duncan Jardine, and people will be able to go along and see my 3 directorial projects, the only 3 projects on which I actually directed first unit. You've got the video for Monty Video and the cassettes, Shoop Shoop Diddy Wop Kumma Kumma Wang Dang.
Yep.
You've got the ad campaign with Peter Moon for Don't Be a Wally with Water from the late 80s, and you've got my unscreened pilot for the prank show with Peter Mockery, Mockery's About, where Peter Mockery from Murdical would just show up at people's workplace and we just push him in the door and he'd go, what's going to happen when Peter Mockery shows up? Very little reaction, I have to say. It wasn't a successful pilot.
Did he get beaten a lot?
It was just basically ignored.
Okay.
There was a general indifference.
You should have had a chicken.
Yeah.
A Rod Quantock style, Duncan.
But the producers just said, look, the effect of Peter Mockery
Will
from
be
Murdical
enough.
will
Yeah.
be enough. They were proved wrong, but it's beautifully framed and you can see it all at ACME.
Okay.
Wow. All the best.
Thanks, guys.
For that, Duncan Jardine. Thank you very much, Duncan. Thank you very much, Lucas.
Thank
Thank
me.
you very much, Terry.
Thanks.
Thank you to our beautiful producer, Nikki.
Yeah.
Thank you to our beautiful call girls, Sess and Anna. And thank you to our wonderful sound engineers, Tim, Paul, and Ricky D from Gympie.
Yeah.
The old Ricky D, eh?
On the forks and spoons.
On the forks and spoons. And thank you to all our wonderful guests and our wonderful listeners, you. And thank you to the powers that be at the ABC Radio National.
Yeah, good on
Thank
you,
you
guys.
so much.
We'll be returning our lanyards immediately after the broadcast.
Yes,
Straight
thank
onto
you.
the coat rack.
Thank you to everyone upstairs at the ABC.
Cheers.
As we say here at the Lonely Hearts Club, may all your love be free of cost. Right now, it's Trevor Chappell.